Now we're covering more ground. The first prophecy talked about feasting on the unborn and all the atrocities done in abortions. And it said, I'll slap you in the mouth. I'll slap you in the face. The second one talked about pain. 5 times the harvest is coming to those who have, because of the pain they've caused, God said, his children, the little children around the world. And he says, and he's going to cause a shaking in Mexico, throughout Mexico, because the leaders there have gone a whoring around with Mideastern nations that are against Israel. So he's covering that much of it. And then he starts talking about how they brought drug cartels to whore with the leaders of Mexico. And he said, you're going to see this shaking like a snake there in Mexico. But he said, I will protect my people in Mexico. And he said, when the Democrat Party, you're going to see this start to affect the trade routes, trade and so forth like that. And when the Democrat Party tries to stick their hand in it, the Lord said, I'm going to slap them in the face. So you're talking about a lot of harvest coming in the world. And you're going to recognize it by a slap in the face. Now we've got to start taking notice of this, because anything phenomenal is prophetic. And then now we get to this prophecy. Now this is the first time the Lord has ever let me say anything concerning the petitions that were made against the prophets. There was a group of people who started a petition to get all the prophets to sign it, to apologize over this past election and different things like that. And they started signing it. Different leaders would sign it to make the prophets apologize. And it said in this prophecy that you that have done this thing, and I've never really spoken against that because I can't say anything out of my feelings, but this is very serious today. Because he said, now, not only is all these other prophecies and all the other harvest coming now, he said, but you that have tried to make the prophets apologize, said you are like Zedekiah. That's in the book of 1 Kings chapter 22, said, and we'll look at it in a minute, said you're like Zedekiah, who slapped the prophet Micaiah in the face. And he talked about that. And he said, you are like that prophet. And he said, you will see it when you enter into your inner chamber. Didn't say you would slap them, said you will see it. See what? A slap. The day you enter into your inner chamber. Now that last prophecy was given on the 27th of March on a Sunday morning, or early that day on Sunday. And then that night, when everybody entered their inner chamber, went home. An inner chamber means a private room in your house, a bedroom or something, but it also means a public place where a private group has been invited and gathers. And so that evening, after that prophecy came out, remember, the Lord said, you'll see it. You'll see it. What? The slap. You will see it that evening. Or you will see it when you enter into your inner chamber. And that evening that's been caused to all the little children. He said, and then also going whoring with Mideastern nations against Israel. And it just keeps going on. And then the final prophecy about the slap was, you who filed petitions and tried to make my prophets apologize, you are like Zedekiah who slapped Micaiah across the mouth. He said, when you go, and it just said, when you go into your inner chamber, you will see it. And that night, everyone went home, watched those Oscars, and saw it. And I believe in that prophecy, it also talked about taking your candlestick and all, and the man lost his award for that? That looked like a candlestick. Then he talks about this. It said, you will see it. And it was a man named Will who did it. Folks, what you just saw with the slap heard around the world was harvest coming. Now it is time for all of these things the Lord talked about. He said, you'll see it with the slap. That's what he's talking about. And then suddenly it happened. Now, I want us to, and what concerns me so is those that he talked about in this last one. Said, you are like those who slapped Micaiah across the mouth. Now, I want us to look at 1 Kings 22, and I want to look at this story here. And it says, and they continued 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. And it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, came down to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said unto his servants, know ye that Ramoth in Gilead is ours? And we be still, and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria. And he said unto Jehoshaphat, wilt thou go with me to battle to Ramoth Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as thou art, my people as thy people, and my horses as thy horses. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today. Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, go up, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord, besides that we may inquire of him? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord. But I hate him. Listen to these words. He said, I hate him, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, hasten hither Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, sat each on his throne, having put on their robes in a void place in the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Kenaniah, made him horns of iron, and he said, thus saith the Lord, with these shalt thou push the Syrians until thou have consumed them. And all the prophets prophesied, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the king's hand. And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying, behold, now the words of the prophets declare good to the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which was good. And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear? And he answered him, go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it unto the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, how many times shall I adjure thee that thou tell me nothing but the truth, nothing but that which is true, in the name of the Lord? So he knew his other prophets were lying. And he said, I saw, this is what the prophet of the Lord said, Micaiah. He said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, they have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me but evil? And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and shall fall at Ramoth Gilead. And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And then there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord. That's God in his system of harvest, all capitals, Lord. And said, I will persuade him. And the Lord, God in his system of harvest, is about to render harvest to Ahab. The Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all of his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. But Zedekiah, the son of Cananiah, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? And Micaiah said, behold, thou shalt see in the day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash the king's son, and say, thus saith the king, put this fellow in the prison, and feed him with the bread of affliction, and with water of affliction, until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, if thou return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. And he said, hearken, O people, every one of you. And you'll find that when he went into war, Ahab told Jehoshaphat, he said, you wear your royal robes, and I'm going to dress like a common soldier. And he said, then, so he wouldn't be recognized. And when the battle got hot, they saw Jehoshaphat with his robes and said, he must be the king of Israel. And they started chasing him. But when they perceived it wasn't him, they turned back from chasing him, and somebody just fired an arrow at a venture. It was at a venture, and it just went through the air and just out of nowhere smote the king of Israel in the joints of his harness, the only place it could have hit him to kill him. And of course, then you see that Micaiah was right. And what's happened is this. It was prophesied that I'm going to bring harvest for the unborn. For what they've done to them. I'm going to bring harvest for the affliction they've caused for all the little children around the world, for all those that have plotted against Israel, to the Democrat Party, to everything that he spoke of in these prophecies. And he said, in every one of them, you'll see it by a slap in the face, and I'm going to slap them in the face. And then the last prophecy on the 27th, that morning, he said, you'll see it, all you that pulled out a petition and started this petition against the prophets and tried to make them apologize. He said, you're like Zedekiah who slapped the prophet, who slapped Micaiah. He said, you're like the ones who slapped him. He said, and you'll see it, the slap, when you enter into your inner chamber. And then that night, in the privacy of everyone's home, a public gathering, a public place with a private gathering, showed a man out of the blue, slapped the other one. And it made world news. It was to open the eyes, and I'm going to tell you what's happened. It was a mark of harvest that has come now. It's a mark of harvest that has begun. Go back and look at these prophecies and watch what starts now. It's a mark of harvest time. And those that file petitions against the prophets, you are the ringleader of what's taking place. Think about that. Trying to make God's prophets apologize. What has happened? There was a spirit. When the time came for harvest, he said, 5 times I'll bring it. 5 times the harvest. In one of the prophecies, there was a spirit that went before the Lord, just like Satan went before God in his system in harvest in Job's day. And he went before the Lord and he said, I'll go down there and be a lying spirit in their mouths, in the mouths of all their prophets. The times of kings, the times of false prophets, this is a time of the big lie. You're looking at an election that took place that was a lie. The whole thing was a lie. Everything about it's a lie. That right there was a lie. All of it's a lie. It's because this lying spirit has left the throne of the Lord and went and became a lying spirit in the mouths of all the king's advisors, all those that are advising these world leaders, and also in the mouths of the religious leaders that are the ones supporting them. They have a lying spirit in their mouth and came and said, let's start a petition to make the prophets of the Lord apologize. But just like the prophets of the Lord, the prophet of the Lord in this story, I'm telling you, and the Lord gave a prophetic word and said, you'll see it, that you are like that. You'll see it, that lying spirit is there. You'll see it the day you go into your inner chamber. And then that very night, the worldwide, world famous slap that everybody laughs at. And they laugh at it and make little videos of it where he's slapping everything down. It's just making it go worldwide where everyone can see this lying spirit is there. And you heard what he said. He said, the blood of the innocent drips out of your mouth for too long. Before you can wipe your mouth off, I'll slap it off of you. I'll slap you in the face. And now it's happened. We have to start recognizing prophetic things. Now we can see what's going to happen. We can see what's taking place. And we're in that time. And it's that time of the lie, the big deception. And now we look over, think about it, even this slap took precedent over a war in Ukraine. It became more famous because it's all about the lie. Now let's show all those prophecies one more time. And I want you to really glean from it. I want you to really listen to it. Go back to the very first one.